Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Thor's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
All right. We're starting with the rumor mill today. Rumors
not the
for
rumor mill
Mandalorian
again.
Season 3. Possible spoilers if you're not into that.
Also, no Bad Batch spoilers in this video. Just throwing that out there because I know it is Bad Batch Day, so.
The day of the batch.
The batch is back for another batch of episodes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Let's get to the news.
All right,
Rumors.
rumor mill. Making Star Wars has an exclusive first look at the final design of the Praetorian Guard as they will appear in Season 3 of The Mandalorian. You're just shaking your head. I can see it.
It's almost as if you knew I made a video yesterday talking about how maybe the smartest thing they could do in this time period is ignore the sequel trilogy.
And focus on their small story, kind of?
Well, the premise of my video, more or less, if you didn't see it, is that if we're going to this new galaxy, this new other place, world, whatever it's called, it kind of does feel like you're trying to go to a whole different area and avoid having connections with the sequel trilogy, right?
I would
You're
prefer.
trying, if you go to a different galaxy, that obviously is going to have minimal impact on the sequels, right?
Maybe
Or
we're seeing the
lead up
stirring
to.
of the sequels, and that's what makes them leave.
Sure.
They can feel them coming.
But anyway,
Yeah, so I'm sure I've got up on the screen already. Making Star Wars has this piece of concept art, which was supposedly used as the reference guide for dressing the Praetorians for Mando Season 3. It's kind of interesting. It goes along with the leaked images that we've had for a while now. I mean, we had the leaked image of this Imperial-looking hallway, which really
Could
could
be
mean nothing
anything,
and
yeah.
anything at all. But we also had the red helmet image.
which look like Mandalorian helmets.
They do, but they're too shiny.
Well, sometimes
Praetorian
they
guards
polish up their
are
helmets,
shiny
new
that
paint
way.
job. Remember how dapper Boba Fett was looking when he painted up his armor
Yeah, but he
again?
still had like a matte finish on
He
it.
did go matte finish, which I think looked badass, but that's not the point.
But what goes shiny finish are stormtroopers, death troopers, Praetorian guards.
They have a very shiny finish, yes.
They do have a very shiny finish. They did it all up in glossy there.
I have this weird image of them painting each other's armors, like,
Like, no,
Like,
I'm Mandalorian. We do matte armor.
like you're doing up your nails.
Well, they don't want to catch the reflection on things.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about, but anyway. Yeah, it's one of those days.
So, I mean, we had the image of the helmets, and now we have this full concept art piece from Making Star Wars. I still want to take this with a grain of salt,
Sure.
obviously, but it's eerie.
Here's what I think. That is a weird connection to kind of go with, right?
I don't want to go that direction yet.
I mean, the theories are out there that what they want to do with Grogu. Actually, I put the theory out there, I think, at one point, but whatever. The theory is out there that what they want to do with Grogu is to make a clone body for Palpatine. They, some reason, need his M-count blood, and they end up making Snoke or something along those lines, right? That Grogu leads to Snoke somehow. I mean, that I could see, if you're going to make a connection to the sequels, and we could debate if that's a good idea or not, I could see that. Okay? I could see that. The remnants of the Empire are trying to bring back Palpatine, and they make Snoke, and whatever. We've seen a lot of Snokes and jars on Exegol, so...
Yeah, not to mention there was that nod to possible Snoke in Mando Season 2.
Season 2, Episode 4, I believe it was, when we
Chapter number? It wasn't there.
Chapter guy. No, you're going to give me every time with that. Yes, Chapter 4,
It wasn't
believe.
Chapter 4 because the chapter numbers continued from the first season.
No, it would be Chapter 12. Whatever. Episode 4 of Season 2.
Chapter 12.
Anyway, the one where we go to the secret Imperial facility and we see some things in a jar, and we see Dr. Pershing talking about the volunteer.
Dr. Donut. Yeah.
Dr. Donut, yeah, talking about the volunteer and the M-count blood and all of these things. And it does seem to point to Snoke, potentially.
Potentially, yes. It's just, I don't want to go there. I mean,
I don't
there
think it
were
should.
rumors of even in 2021 that, oh, look, Andy Serkis, he's doing mocap work again.
And that was probably,
It was most likely him actually filming for Andor, not there doing motion capture work. He's just known.
Well, you hear
for
Andy
it.
Serkis, you think motion capture. You hear Andy Serkis related to Star Wars, you think, well, the motion capture guy is going to go do the character he did motion capture for in Star Wars, right?
But I don't I think it's too early to go that direction. I'm hoping they get to the new galaxy before they go too far that direction.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, Andy Serkis deserves to be known as more than the mocap guy.
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
played
saying
Claw.
that's what a lot of people think. Well, he played my boy Kino Loy, too. I mean, that's...
I know.
But you know what I'm saying. Well, the average person, if they know Andy Serkis, they're going to think Gollum and all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Well, he did make motion capture into an art form.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
the way he can act through those characters should never be denied.
Yeah.
It's his face underneath there doing the motions, doing the movements,
take nothing away from Ahmad Best with
voice.
Jar Jar Binks, too. You can hate Jar Jar Binks, but he is kind of as far as I can remember here, he's really kind of the first motion capture, kind of playing the character that becomes... you know what I'm saying. But no, going back to it, I think it's just a strange thing to bring the Praetorian Guard into The Mandalorian 25 years before the sequel should take place. What are they...
I mean, how long does it take to grow a Snoke is really the question.
Well, how do they... I mean, like I said, I think that's just a strange connection to make. Unless they're like Mandalorians who join the remnants of the Empire. And,
brainwashed or something?
Or have been part of the Empire after, the Great Purge, if you will.
Perhaps.
And, I don't know.
They're elite. And I mean, if somehow... I mean, because there was a rumor also that it was going to connect somehow to the Bad Batch. So could they be clones?
Possibly.
Clones of Mandalorians with more elite training than ever before.
I guess. I don't know. Like I said, just strange connection.
Well, and what's the purpose of these new Praetorian Guards?
What were the purpose of the original ones? Other
They
than
were to guard Snoke.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that.
They did. They did.
I mean, the Praetorian I always saw as kind of the next evolution of the Emperor's Royal Guard.
Yeah, the Red Guards.
Yeah, the Senate
And
Guards.
they're red.
They...
Red Guard 2.0.
Yeah.
But what they're saying is that these new Praetorian Guard work with Moff Gideon. And that Moff Gideon's going to have some fancy new armor, too, because we've heard already that he's going to have Mandalorian-style armor. He kind of joked in an interview that Moff Gideon wants to be a Mandalorian. Yeah. So why not? Why not? He's going to have a new black and red Mandalorian armor so that he can look like a Mandalorian and have some big climactic battle against bo-katan and the existing Mandalorians. Like, haha, look, me and my elite Praetorian / Mandalorian, because they sound similar, are better than the OG Mandalorians. And, yep,
please no.
He's going to show up with his cape and his black-horned Mando helmet, 5 Praetorian guards.
No.
Yeah.
I hope not.
They're going to fight for the control of Mandalore because everyone wants a glassed rock.
Yeah, I know. Everybody wants a worthless rock floating in space. I mean, it's, it's significant emotionally to the Mandalorians,
It could be significant if you could somehow use the dark saber to rally the Mandalorians that are scattered throughout the galaxy come back and be a force to be reckoned with, which we have no idea if that happens because there's a big gap in time before the sequel trilogy, and we don't see them at all in that.
Yeah, obviously the Mandalorians aren't really covered in the sequels. They're not mentioned or thought of or anything. They're just doing their own thing, for better or worse.
If they still exist
small,
at all.
Whatever, yeah.
We have no idea.
True, yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of Giancarlo Esposito, he was just on The Tonight Show.
I did not, I don't watch.
Well, he's still making the press rounds for Kaleidoscope.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So they didn't really talk much about Season 3 at all. But
why not? Who cares about Kaleidoscope?
People.
just kidding. It's
Netflix.
a joke. Yeah.
And he talked about his first meetings with Jon Favreau, which are entertaining, to say the least. He says, Jon Favreau called me and said, you want to be part of the show? And I have good news and bad news. So he goes, well, okay, well, tell me the good news first. He says, the good news is I wrote you a role of Moff Gideon in The Mandalorian. He goes, oh, what's that? It's a new Star Wars show I'm doing. So I said, okay, well, tell me the bad news. He says, well, the bad news is all the money is going into the volume. And he starts talking technically and talking about the story and all these good things. And I said to him, John, I want to work with people I like. That's the bottom line. I did not want to say, I came very close to saying I'll do it for free, but I did love it that much. And he goes, are there any requests? And he goes, I have one request, please. I must have a cape, he said. And John said, done deal. That was me. It sold me on everything that I could have a cape.
I want a cape.
Because the show allowed me to feel like a kid again, It made me dream again. It made me be in wonder again. It made me feel I could go any place in the universe and carry my dreams, my hopes, and my imagination with me.
On my back with my cape.
Oh, yeah, so his request wasn't a purple lightsaber, it was a cape. We grant special requests. I mean, especially when roles are written for him. I mean, Jon Favreau wrote this role for him, which is probably why he plays it so well. It was written for him.
Well, it fits him so well. We've discussed before, he's probably the best kind of villain, or just the best feeling villain. We don't know a ton about him, but he just hits the role. He nails the role perfectly as the villain, which is just what he was meant to do. I'm sorry.
It's perfect.
I mean, he's everything I see him in, he's great, but he's usually the bad guy. In fact, he always is the bad guy, I think, in everything I've seen him in.
And he also talks about the puppet.
I'm assuming you mean Grogu?
He said,
who he's been after for like 2 seasons.
Yeah, he says
chasing puppets.
For a long time it was simply called The Child, and it was just sitting on a desk when he walked by one day when he and Jon were chatting, and it's just sitting on a desk.
And, what was the animated form that it was like creepily moving and stuff?
Yes,
that's the best way to be introduced. No. I'm sure it wasn't.
He said they saw it on the table, and he's like, hey, you want to take a look at the child? And he pulls off the canvas, and he looks at the practical child, and they explained how it was going to work, and that it was going to be CGI, and he says, no, this is perfect. And then the puppeteer walked by, and he's like, hey, you want to see and talk to him? And he's like, okay. And then the child opened its eyes, turned its head, wiggles its ears.
See?
And you can't take your eyes off of it. Grogu was fascinating, mysterious, and smart, and I looked at Jon, and I said, Jon, this is the star of the show. He looked back, scratched his chin, and said, do you think so? And I said,
God,
I know so. And every scene that I'm in has to be with this child, and he laughed.
They had no idea. That's why there were no toys. No, I don't know why. I think they were surprised.
There were no toys because they didn't want to ruin it.
Well,
the more people you let inside the circle,
this is like Hasbro. Like they're the ones who are making most of those toys. Yeah. I don't know.
If Hasbro had pre-knowledge of that, how many people at the factory would know what this is and be like, hey guys, there's a weird little baby Yoda figure being made right now. Hey, there's a new Yoda figure being made. Is it Yoda as a baby Yoda?
I think they were worried. Is it that they were worried about it getting out and people being like, oh my God, they're going to put a baby Yoda in this thing? This is the stupidest thing ever. I mean, especially at the time, right? You have a lot of people already down on the sequels. Now you're like, we're putting a baby Yoda. This is going to be terrible. What the hell are they doing? You know, I think it could go. There could be a lot of reasons, let's say, why they held back on the toys. Mm-hmm. Though it's kind of interesting to hear that. I mean, with Favreau being, leery, makes it sound like he was kind of like, this could go south for us.
It could. People could have seen that and been like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Yeah. Because, I mean, let's be honest. I've said this before, this leaks out early that there's going to be a baby Yoda in The Mandalorian, and you're coming off The Last Jedi and all of these things that a lot of fans are not happy about, you're going to have people just tearing it apart. Mm-hmm. And yet when you see it, it works in the show quite well, obviously. Do you think they knew people were going to call it Baby Yoda?
They probably had a guess.
No, I think they wanted people to call it The Child. I mean, that is the name of the second episode, too.
Yes, and that's the only thing they ever call it is The Child.
Yeah, instead everybody just ran with Baby Yoda.
They had to know people were not going to call it The Child.
Yeah.
As much as they wanted it to. I mean, then all their merchandise came out called The Child, and everyone's still like, yeah, Baby Yoda.
They're like, no, we wanted you to help The Child. Fine, we'll name the thing. Let's call it Grogu.
Why not? And everyone thought it was going to be a Y name.
Yeah. I mean, all...
Yoguru.
Yeah. Yogurt. Sounds too much like yogurt, but for some reason... Well, we did have a yogurt that looked like it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm aware of yogurt.
I think a lot of people out there are as well. Yogurt from Spaceballs. But anyway, that is all we got for you this time. So take to the comments below. Tell us what you think of any and all of today's news. Tell us what you think about Praetorian Guards in The Mandalorian.
And later today, we'll have the refresh, review, rewatch of Mandalorian Chapter 2.
The Child, the one we were just talking about, yeah. We rewatched that and, well, we'll talk about it later. So until next time, thanks for watching.